welcome back. This is the second session of Sketch to the Max with Crafty Meggy and Tracy Ranciere. And I am still continuing using my January Secret Not Secret kit where I had the Maggie Holmes Flourish collection. And I flipped the sketch this time where the photos are going to be in the upper left corner. So if you saw my unboxing video of this kit, you'll know that I wanted to do some watercolor on this paper, which I have put gesso down, let it dry before I pulled out the Prima watercolors, and I only use the colors that are in this Prima set. And this is the tropical set, and I know the colors are kind of bright, but you can mute them down, tone them down by adding some of the darker colors or even watering them down. So of course I wanted to have the yellow, and then I also put some green in there. And I'm not too careful about staying in the lines. I'm wanting to make it very watercolor and very loose. And to be honest with you, you don't really see a lot of this whenever the page is complete. But it's kind of fun to watercolor. I enjoy it. It's very relaxing to me. It's just playing, having fun. And there it is complete. I even added some splatters. I used some blush shimmers product to do some splatters, as well as the yellow. I think it may be even the darker yellow. And the paper's just a little warped, but I'm not too worried about it. And I'm going to go through all the papers that I had chosen to use with these two photos. These are vintage photos. And I know I'm not the norm. There is nobody else in my family that wants these photos, so it's up to me what I do with them, and I'm choosing to put them in a heritage album. And if my girls want to keep them, that's fine, but they're photos of my mother and her sister and then her dad, so my grandfather. And my mother is 18 days old in this photo. And I just love that picture of my grandpa. So young and so handsome. Anyway, so I've kind of got it somewhat laid out of how I want it, and not quite happy with it, kind of doing some flipping and flopping, readjusting. And I have to be honest with you, I was very distracted when I was making this layout. I had a lot of interruptions. And so if this is a little disjointed, it's because there were multiple interruptions. But it was all done in the same day. So I'm going to use the pink on the top and the bottom, and then the yellow floral paper is going to be in the center. And I trimmed that a little too shorter than I wanted to, but it's going to be okay because it doesn't stay right there anyway. And I wanted to make sure that I had a round element just like I did in the last layout. And I pulled out the little pom-poms, the green, and whenever I did my unboxing, I thought that it would be perfect for, baby pictures. Didn't know that I was going to use it for this vintage baby picture of my mother. So like I did on the last layout, is I'm going to put, I don't know if I would call it washi tape as much as it's like golden paper tape. And it doesn't go 12 inches completely across. It was probably 10.5 to 11 inches. And I just wanted to make sure that in the middle that it was covered. I'm not too worried about it not going from, from end to end. So then I'm thinking, well, how am I going to put these pom-poms on? And then the grand idea of using, the mini attacher. So that's what I use. And of course, as I'm going through this, I'm plugging along and it runs out of staples. But And it didn't really add a lot of depth to, on the back side with the staples. I was able to put that, down onto the page without a problem. Now the pom-poms, they will fray on the ends. So I had turned one of the corners under and stapled it together, and the other end, I'm going to say Christina had used some sort of fray check or something to keep the end from fraying. So I just left that alone. I just kind of trimmed it up. All right, so now I'm having to readjust everything again. Now I didn't want to do any inking on, like distressed inks on the edges, but I needed the papers to pop somewhat. So I take it's called Faber-Castell Pit Artist Pen. It's the big brush. And I just go along the edge. I don't know how else to describe it. I just go along the edge and just kind of run it along so just the edge is inked. And I make sure I do it from the back, because if my pen should happen to slip, it would make a mark on the back and not on the front. And this is one of those things you need to ask me how I know, because I have done it so many times. And I had seen actually a stamper do this before, because I used to stamp quite a bit, which I don't hardly do anymore. All right, so like I try to do is, if I'm happy with something, I try to go ahead and glue it down. And I'm going to try to salvage this, or at least use the doily to the best potential, by cutting it in half instead of tucking half of it underneath. So far so good. And looking at the stickers, I just really couldn't find anything in the stickers that caught my eye to put on this. But normally I don't do this. I usually wait to do this at the end. But I knew I wanted to title this 18 Days, because that's how old my mom was. And going through these huge ephemera pack. And oh my gosh, isn't that perfect, that bird? I don't know if it's a heron, it's a stork, but I'm telling you, it was like perfect. And then that little, it's like a book. It looks like a book. I tuck it underneath the bird, because I didn't like it that you could see between its legs. You could see the green. I wanted some pink to go there. And then the deer, look how sweet the deer is. Yeah, so then that's when for sure I know that I need to move that pink over to the right. It is so sweet, that little deer. It's kind of big actually, but it's perfect, absolutely perfect for this page. In my opinion, of course. And I'm just really struggling with the paper. I didn't want the stork's head to be laying on top of the pom-pom, so I have to raise everything up, which is still fine because I had a little bit of wiggle room. And that's the nice thing about using the ATG, is that it is easy to peel up and to stick back down. And there we go. Everything is starting to fit perfectly, except I still don't have this straight. Oh my, I just really fiddled with this a lot. And those stickers, it came in my kit, and let me see, it is, let me tell you what they're called. Match. Okay. And I really like the gold foil that's at the bottom of them, and they have to be glued down, that they won't stick. I mean, they'll stick like temporarily, but so going through the stickers once again, trying to figure out where everything's going to go. And I'm reading the back, and it's okay because I'm using my ATG gun, because I know that can be easily removed. But I'm not going to put any glue on the photo itself. So I'm trying to make sure that the overlapped is not going to have any glue on it, any ATG, any wet glue. And then here's the pom-poms. And I did it kind of upside down. Normally the pom-poms I would have facing down, but this time I did it facing up. And I needed a little bit of dimension on this page. Everything was pretty flat. So I decided to make the little deer by putting some foam tape on it. Isn't he cute? I think it's just precious. From the sticker sheet, there are some little alpha tiles, and I spelled out my mother's name, which is Janet Louise, and her maiden name was Nichols. So I go ahead and put that on, trying my best to use the straight edge, and even still it doesn't come out perfectly straight because the paper's a little warped. Trying to use the tweezers, of course. I don't know if you guys struggle with that. And the last element is still looking at some stickers. I put a couple hearts at the end of her name. And then under the deer, this is like that fern, it's gold, and I'm putting it behind the deer's head. So there's more focus on the deer's face. And I pull off from the sticker sheet the word lovely, and I'm trying to find a place to put it, and I end up putting it right there on the deer. And I put a little piece of foam tape underneath it since the deer's on foam tape. On foam tape. And then underneath the name, I don't know, it's like a little flourish or something. I don't know what to call it. I put that underneath there. And I know it still needs a little something. So I pulled these stickers out again. Remember, they're from the Carousel collection. And they're pink vellum. And I put one of them on that flourish that's underneath her name. I think it says happy days are here. And then what I'm doing here is there was like a label that had some gold foil on the edges. And I decided to put that on the edge of the green that's on the left side. I know you can see where I'm putting it. It's just very faint. You'll be able to see it in the close-up shots at the end. And then the gold bow. Yay, I can finally use one of these gold bows. It really needed something on that doily. And then the last thing that I do are the sequins. I got them from Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I'm using, I think the collection is called Baby Butterfly. Let's see. Yes, Baby Butterfly. I use the tan. It's kind of like a wood grain color. And there's two sizes of a baby pink and little bitty butterflies. And I glue that down with some multimedia matte. And that is the end. Stay tuned for the close-ups at the end, and subscribe if you haven't already. And then make sure you check out Crafty Meggy's page for this week too. All right, thank you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.